Hi, I'm John F. Allen.
And I'm R.J. Sullivan.
And we're the Two Towers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Two Towers Talk Show recap for the Arrow TV show. I'm your host, John F. Allen, one half of the Two Towers. Today we'll be reviewing and recapping Arrow, Season 4, Episode 15, titled Taken. There will be details of the episode discussed here, which are spoilers. So, if you haven't seen the episode yet, watch the episode and then come back to view this show. Okay, so on to the top 5 Tower talking points. Tower talking point 1. Vixen arrives in Star City. Quick backstory about Vixen. In the comics, she was a fashion model who learns that she was descended from an African tribe tasked with guarding a mystical artifact known as a totem. While wearing this amulet, she can channel the physical abilities of virtually any animal at will. This makes her incredibly powerful, even though the comics have failed to utilize her to her fullest extent, in my opinion. Her story on the show is pretty much the same, although she was first featured in the Flareverse via the CW Seed animated series titled Vixen. This was a 6-episode mini-series which told about 30 minutes in screen time. You can go check that out at CW Seed. This was supposed to be a testing ground for her to be developed into a live-action character to eventually appear on Arrow or The Flash and possibly even get her own series. During this episode, as Oliver introduces her to Team Arrow, he makes a quip about how he and Vixen had an animated adventure when they met. Wink, wink. Arrow and The Flash appeared in the animated series and were voiced by Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin. Coincidentally, the same actress who voiced the character in the animated show, Megalyn Echukwuonwake, is the same to portray her in this episode. At any rate, her arrival in Star City was at the request of Oliver, who enlists her help to fight Damien Darhk and rescue his kidnapped son William. At first, it appears that she is able to resist Darhk's power, but she quickly succumbs, much like everyone else. Tower talking point 2. Damien Darhk finally gets his butt kicked. It's been a very long time coming, but Damien Darhk finally gets his comeuppance. Vixen is able to track Darhk using her mystical abilities, and Team Arrow soon comes to the conclusion that he is channeling his powers through some sort of artifact, much like Vixen's totem. Once they track Darhk down to his lair, Team Arrow keeps him occupied while Vixen uses the strength of a gorilla to destroy Darhk's artifact and render him powerless. Well, once this happens, he gets his butt kicked. He tries to challenge Green Arrow to hand-to-hand combat and gets utterly embarrassed before being knocked unconscious and taken to jail. Tower talking point number 3. Oliver's got the magic touch. In the flashback sequences, Baron Ryder used Oliver and the handy-dandy spell Constantine put on him in the form of a tattoo to unearth a tunnel guarded by netherworld beings. Arrow as a series is really reaching into the supernatural this season, and although I'm not really surprised, I for one think it adds to the show to some extent. Hopefully this will be integral to the rest of the season and how things move forward in future seasons. Tower talking point number 4. Olicity is over. Many viewers have hated on the relationship between Oliver and Felicity, and this episode, their dreams come true. Felicity dumped Oliver after learning he had kept the fact that he had a son from her. I'm sure many viewers saw that coming by a mile, and I'm one of them. That said, it's highly unlikely that they will remain on the outs, as they have been, as there have been an equal, if not more, of a number of fans who are pro-Olicity. We shall see. Tower talking point number 5. Felicity walks. We knew it was going to happen, and it did. Felicity is now mobile. In last week's episode, Curtis Holt, aka Mr. Terrific, created an implantable chip which, when surgically inserted into Felicity's spine, would likely help her to walk again. The viewers all knew this would work, and while this was no surprise, the payoff to its success was a WTF moment in the episode, which caused me to feel that it lost a lot of cool points. I'll further explain when we get to the pros and cons of the episode. Okay, so now we've reached the segment of the show called Pros and Cons. This is where I give you my opinions on the pros and cons of the episode. Starting with the pros. The stunts in this episode were amazing. Thea, aka Speedy, bends over backwards and fires an arrow at other motorcyclists while riding behind Laurel, aka Black Canary, on a motorcycle. The action scenes featuring Vixen were on point, and I could definitely see her show up for future episodes and even appear in Legends of Tomorrow at some point. The aspect of getting her own live-action show are slim right now, but DC announced that there will be a Season 2 of the CW animated series I mentioned earlier. So be sure to check out Season 1 if you haven't already, and be on the lookout for Season 2 to drop. The other thing I liked in particular about this episode is that it seemed less likely now that William is the body in the mystery grave, first seen in episode 1 of this season. Although now that we know it's not Felicity and that it's likely not William, and that Damien Darhk is powerless, the question remains as to who could it be. Please be sure to comment below on who you suspect it is in the grave, and be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. The cons of the episode. Felicity walks. While this in and of itself is a high point for the character, the way in which it was revealed left me very disappointed. As I mentioned before, Felicity broke off her engagement to Oliver over his failure to be completely honest, no matter what. She acknowledged the fact that William's mother had placed an ultimatum on him not to tell anyone that he had a son. However, Felicity felt like he should have told her anyway. That said, I thought it was not her place to feel she should be included in the decision Oliver and his son's mother made in regards to how things would be handled going forward. She got upset because he, being Oliver, had decided that it was best that he stay out of his son's life and let him lead a normal life, given the fact that he's running around as Green Arrow. Well, I think Felicity overstepped, and here's why. A. William is Oliver's son and is not Felicity's child. Whatever decision is made in the welfare of him is between Oliver and his mother. Period. It is my opinion that she overstepped with this, and when she said her piece, miraculously she gets sensation in her feet and they start to move. Within seconds she stands up, albeit wobbly, and without any assistance from Oliver, who merely chimes in how great it is she was able to stand, she just walks out of the room. Okay, folks, to me that's weak storytelling, but that's just my opinion. First, she has been paralyzed for a while now, and she gets her equilibrium back enough to walk out like nothing happened. Yeah, right. Secondly, for her to literally walk out like that was so cliche, I wanted to throw a shoe at the TV, seriously. That being said, I have to say, come on, Arrow writers, you can do much better than that. This is my only real complaint with the episode worth mentioning, and while it didn't ruin it in its entirety, it was a glaring sore spot which caused it to lose cool points. For real. Final thoughts. I have to say that this was one episode which started off pretty good and ended on a sour note, as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, this lowers my rating by 1 tower, and that's being generous. I gave this episode 3 out of 5 towers. In related news, we'll be airing review recap shows for Arrow, The Flash, Agent Carter, Supergirl, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow later this week. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to get them. Also, Arrow will be on hiatus much like The Flash after this episode, but Arrow will return on the week of March 23rd. So, be sure to tune in here for our next Flash review recap show and our next Arrow review recap show, which I hope will be airing the following days on March 23rd and 24th respectively. Thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, Peace. The Two Towers Talk Show is sponsored in part by Showtime Cinema in Mooresville, Indiana. Their friendly staff is always willing to go the extra mile to make your movie-going experience an enjoyable and memorable one. Enjoy the comfort of their new cushioned seating in their spacious auditoriums, and while you're there, be sure to stop by the concession stand and purchase some popcorn where real butter topping is an option. They're located at 300 South Bridge Street in Mooresville, Indiana. We hope to see you at the movies.